My name is Ruby Eloise. I am 30 years old, and this is the story of the night my own brother decided I was something to be hidden. It happened on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic day. Not a holiday. Just a normal Tuesday evening, the kind where life feels ordinary enough that you don't expect it to break you. I was sitting on my bed, folding laundry, when my phone vibrated. One message. From my brother. I smiled at first, because no matter how distant we'd become, a part of me still believed blood meant something. Still believed family didn't need invitations to belong. I opened the message and read, "Don't come to my engagement party. You'll shame me in front of her family." That was it. No sorry, no explanation, no pause to soften the cruelty. Just a sentence, sharp enough to cut clean through years of pretending we were still close. I stared at the screen, waiting for another message to follow. A correction, a joke, something. Nothing came. I didn't cry right away. That's the part people never understand. When humiliation comes from strangers, it hurts. But when it comes from family, it numbs you first, because your brain refuses to accept it. I reread the message again, and again. Each time the words rearranged themselves in my mind. You'll shame me. You. Not your clothes. Not your job. Not your past. You. As if my existence alone was something embarrassing. Growing up, my brother had always been the success story. The loud one. The confident one. The one relatives bragged about. And I was the quiet background. The one who didn't interrupt. The one who stayed late to help. The one who carried burdens silently so others could shine. I wasn't a failure, but I wasn't impressive either. At least, not in the ways that looked good at family gatherings. I didn't marry early. I didn't post luxury vacations online. I didn't dress to perform wealth. I built my life quietly. Too quietly for someone who wanted to impress a new family. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. I wanted to say, "Do you know how much I've done for you? Do you know how much I've sacrificed? Do you even hear yourself?" Instead, I wrote one word. "Okay," and sent it. Not because I agreed, but because I finally understood something important. If someone sees you as an embarrassment, explaining yourself only confirms their power. The engagement party was 3 days later. I knew because my mother reminded me, over and over, without realizing the irony. "Your brother's engagement is going to be beautiful," she said on the phone. "Her family is very refined." Refined, that word again. As if love required a certain income level. As if dignity came with a price tag. I didn't tell her about the message. I just listened and stayed quiet. On the day of the party, I stood in front of my closet longer than I should have. Not because I was going, but because part of me still wondered, what if I showed up anyway? Not to cause a scene, not to embarrass him, just to exist, just to prove I had the right. I held a simple dress in my hands, nothing flashy, nothing cheap. Then I remembered his words. "You'll shame me." I put the dress back. That evening, my phone stayed silent. No one asked where I was. No one checked if I was okay. I watched the hours pass, imagining the party without me. My brother smiling, his fiancée glowing, her family nodding approvingly. And somewhere in his mind, relief. Relief that I wasn't there to remind him where he came from. Around 9:40 p.m., I finally opened social media. I shouldn't have. The pictures were already up. Crystal chandeliers, champagne glasses, perfect smiles. And there he was, my brother, standing proudly under a banner that read, "A new beginning." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the irony was unbearable. What no one in those photos knew, what my brother didn't think mattered, was that behind the scenes of his new beginning, I was still there. Quietly, legally, financially. Every big step he had taken in the last 5 years had passed through my hands. Not because I wanted credit, but because family used to mean support without applause. I never reminded him. I never corrected him when he let others believe the success was his alone. I thought silence was loyalty. I was wrong. That night, after the party ended, I sat alone in my apartment. Lights off. Phone face down. And for the first time, I asked myself a question I had avoided my entire life. What happens when the person everyone overlooks stops helping? I didn't answer it yet, but something shifted inside me. Not anger, not hatred, clarity. Because humiliation doesn't always break you. Sometimes, it introduces you to the version of yourself who no longer protects people who are ashamed to be seen with you. And after my brother erased me from his engagement party, I realized something terrifying. People don't value what you give quietly. They only value what they fear losing. The morning after the engagement party, I woke up with a strange calm. No tears, no shaking hands, just clarity. I made coffee. I opened my laptop. And I went to work. Not revenge work. Not yet. Just reviewing. Because when you help someone for years, you don't notice how much control you've slowly collected until you finally stop looking away. By noon, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. "Why didn't you come last night? Everyone asked about you." Everyone. I stared at the word and almost laughed. Everyone hadn't asked about me before. Not when decisions were made. Not when credit was taken. Not when I was told to stay invisible. I typed back. I wasn't invited. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then silence. That same afternoon, my brother called. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry, but because for the first time in my life, I wanted him to feel what it was like to speak into emptiness. He texted instead. "Why are you being dramatic?" Dramatic, for respecting the boundary he set. I put the phone down. 2 days later, the first crack appeared. Not in my family, in her family. It started with a polite email from an unfamiliar name. Professional. Careful. Too careful. "Hello, this is Daniel Carter. I represent the Carter family. We had a few follow-up questions regarding the business structure your brother mentioned during the engagement." I read it twice, then slowly leaned back in my chair, because I knew exactly what that meant. My brother had been talking, bragging probably, about his company, his investments, his future plans. Plans that sounded impressive, but weren't fully his. And when wealthy families smell exaggeration, they don't accuse. They investigate. I replied calmly. "I'd be happy to clarify. Please let me know a convenient time." No emotion, no threat, just truth waiting patiently. That evening, my brother showed up at my apartment, unannounced. He stood in the doorway like a stranger wearing my brother's face. "Why are you talking to her family?" he asked. I blinked. "I was asked a question," I said. I answered. His jaw tightened. "You're making me look bad." There it was again. Me. Always the problem. Never the lie. I looked at him. Really looked. At the man who had built confidence on my silence. "Did you tell them the truth?" I asked softly. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. "You should have told me first," he snapped. I tilted my head. "You didn't tell me before you uninvited me," I said. "So I assumed we weren't checking in with each other anymore." The room went quiet. That scared him more than yelling ever could. The next week was interesting. Calls increased. Messages softened. My brother suddenly remembered my existence. "Hey, just checking on you." "We should talk." You know I didn't mean it like that. But what caught my attention wasn't him. It was her. His fiancée. She followed me on social media, liked an old photo, then sent a message. Hi, I feel like there's a lot I don't know. Could we talk sometime? I stared at the screen for a long time, because that message wasn't curiosity. It was concern. We met at a quiet cafe. She was polite, nervous, intelligent, not the villain I had imagined. She stirred her coffee and said carefully, "He talks about you like you're distant." Distant. Another word to hide the truth. I smiled gently. "I'm not distant," I said. "I'm just quiet." Then I let silence do what it does best. She filled it. "Some things don't add up," she admitted. The company structure, the timelines, the way he avoids details. I nodded slowly. I didn't accuse. I didn't expose. I just said one sentence. Everything he has started with help. Her eyes lifted. "How much help?" she asked. I took a breath. "Enough," I said, "that honesty matters now." That night, my brother called again. This time, his voice shook. "What did you tell her?" he asked. I looked out my window at the city lights. "The truth," I said. There was a pause, then anger, then fear, then something else. Realization. "You're doing this on purpose," he said. I smiled, not cruelly, not proudly. "No," I replied. "I'm just no longer protecting you from your own choices." The engagement hadn't broken yet, but the foundation? It was cracking. Quietly, legally, irreversibly. And for the first time, my brother understood something he should have learned long ago. When you treat someone like they don't matter, you shouldn't be surprised when they stop holding you up. And by the time my brother realized something was wrong, it was already too late to fix quietly. After my meeting with his fiancée, I didn't reach out again. No messages, no reassurance, no family talk. I let silence replace emotion, because silence makes people reveal themselves. My brother tried everything: concern, guilt, anger, nostalgia. "Remember when we were kids? Why are you doing this to me? You're ruining my life." I never responded, not because I was heartless, but because every message confirmed the same truth. He wasn't sorry. He was scared. While he panicked, I prepared. Not dramatically, methodically. I opened files I hadn't looked at in years. Contracts, ownership papers, emails saved, just in case. The kind of documents people forget about when they believe someone will always stay quiet. I met with a lawyer on a Wednesday morning. Neutral office, neutral tone. I laid everything out. Years of support, financial backing, shared assets, registered solely under my name. The lawyer looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "You don't need to fight. You just need to stop." That sentence settled deep inside me. I wasn't taking anything away. I was simply removing my presence. The first move was invisible. I withdrew authorization. No announcements, no threats, just signatures. By Friday, things began to wobble. A delayed payment, a frozen account, a postponed approval, nothing dramatic, just enough to create unease. My brother called 12 times that night. I answered once. "What did you do?" he demanded. I spoke slowly. I stepped back. "You can't just do that," he said. I almost laughed. I already did. The following week, his fiancée's family requested another meeting. This time with lawyers. Not accusations, clarifications. They wanted transparency. My brother wanted control. I gave them facts, ownership percentages, timelines, signatures. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't humiliate. I let the paperwork speak. His fiancée didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just looked at him differently, like someone seeing the real cost of a lie. That night, my mother called me in tears. "Why are you tearing the family apart?" she asked. I closed my eyes. I didn't tear it apart, I said quietly. I just stopped holding it together alone. The final straw wasn't financial. It was public. At a small dinner with her family, my brother tried to reclaim control. He spoke loudly, confidently, and said one sentence too many. Our business is built on honesty. Silence followed. Her father leaned forward and asked calmly, Then why isn't your name on anything? The room changed. My brother froze. And for the first time I saw it, the moment a man realizes he's been living on borrowed ground. Later that night, my brother came to me, not as an older sibling, but as someone begging. Please, he said, just wait until after the wedding. I studied his face, the fear, the calculation, not once, regret. I shook my head. You didn't want me there for the engagement, I said, so I won't be there for the future you built without me. By then, the damage was done. The Carter family didn't cancel anything. They postponed. And postponement is just cancellation with hope removed. As my brother's world slowed, mine didn't. I slept better, spoke less, stood straighter. Because for the first time, my worth wasn't hidden behind loyalty. It was visible, documented, undeniable. And what my brother didn't know yet, what no one told him, was that the final step wasn't about money. It was about exposure. Not loud, not cruel, just impossible to ignore. All right, this is the end. No rage, no shouting, no victory speech, just truth. Placed exactly where it can't be undone. And the night my brother lost everything, he finally understood why he should never have been ashamed of me. The announcement didn't come from me. That's the part people expect and get wrong. There was no dramatic confrontation, no family meeting, no public accusation. The collapse began with an email. Short, professional, unemotional. Subject: change in wedding arrangements. After careful consideration, the Carter family has decided to postpone all wedding-related plans until outstanding matters of transparency are resolved. Postpone. The word spread faster than gossip. Because postponement in wealthy families doesn't mean later, it means never. My brother called me within minutes. This time, there was no anger in his voice, only defeat. They know, he whispered. I closed my eyes. Yes, I said. They do. The engagement photos disappeared first, then the congratulatory posts, then the smiles. Her family didn't argue. They didn't negotiate. They simply withdrew. Funding, connections, respect. Everything my brother had borrowed and claimed as his own vanished overnight. At the next family gathering, the room felt different. People avoided eye contact. Conversations stopped when I entered. Not because I was unwelcome, because they were finally aware. Aware that the quiet one had never been small. My mother sat beside me and whispered, I didn't know. I believed her, but it didn't change anything. I wasn't hiding, I replied gently. I was just never asked. My brother arrived late. No confidence left. No stories to tell. When someone asked about the wedding, he said, It's complicated. I looked at him and said nothing. I didn't need to. Later that evening, he pulled me aside. I should have never sent that message, he said. For the first time, it sounded real. I studied him, the brother I loved, the man who chose pride over loyalty. I know, I said. Can you fix this? He asked. That was the moment. The final test. I shook my head slowly. Some things aren't broken, I said. They're revealed. I didn't take his future. I took my silence back. And without it, his world couldn't stand. Weeks passed. Life moved on. I was offered a seat at tables I was never invited to before. Not because I demanded it, because the truth had weight. My brother learned something he'll carry forever. The person you hide might be the one holding you up. And me? I didn't win. I stood. And sometimes that's the most devastating thing you can do.